look, I want to explain to you why you need to go all in on paid ads for your B2B SaaS startup. Let me show you this chart. You have 3 different sections, which are predictable, high leverage, and infinitely scalable patterns of a customer acquisition channel. And you need to get the one which checks all the boxes for you to be able to scale your startup beyond all your competitors. First of all, we have channels which are predictable. Here are the cold calling and cold email, and I've got a couple of books behind me breaking down why a lot of people, including their authors, believe them to be the most predictable. The reasons behind that is once you get your numbers to work, and you know that for every 100 dials or for every 1,000 emails, you get 5 meetings, and every 5 meetings you turn into 1 or 2 sales, then you can reverse engineer how many sales you're going to be making when then putting in certain number of actions beyond that. But after doing these 2 channels for years, and I worked as a cold caller in one of my first jobs years and years back, I can say that it's not as great as it may seem, because yes, sure, the advantage you have here is you know that, okay, once you send another 1,000 emails, you may expect certain number of people to convert, but it comes at a cost. And the 2 biggest disadvantages I found with using these 2 channels for growing B2B SaaS startups, my own ones in the past and then helping my clients grow theirs, is you can make one list to work really well, but then it has no guarantee on how the next one is going to perform. And I got a bit tired of it over the years, because I would have a great campaign which I would have like 3 lists in a row convert, let's say 1 in 100 people buy, for simplicity, and I would have this conversion for months and months, but then the fun begins when the lead list finishes, because imagine you can scrape attendees of one conference, which you know has a huge high density of your ideal customers, and then you keep emailing everyone in this conference, get great results, but then you're like, okay, cool, now let me scale this up, hire more people, and grow my company. And like I've seen this story repeat time and time again. You make a bunch of hires, this great lead list finishes, the next one doesn't perform nearly as nicely, you need to let people go because you need to be figuring out the conversions and the new way again. And I think by now I've seen this story repeat itself maybe 10, 20 different times, when like one startup would even raise seed and then A series run like funding round, then hire 3 to 5 SDRs. They rely on certain strategy for, let's say, 3 to 6 months, and then once this lead list is gone, for example, for cold calling, they cannot get anything else to work. And then, unfortunately, it led to um, founder firing nearly all the sales staff for him to figure out what to do next. So this is one beef I have with using outbound for growing software businesses. And don't get me wrong, for the start it's fine, but after you land a few sales and you have some money to like money in the pocket, I would say that this is not the optimal way for you to scale, because again, it really leads to too many fluctuations in your hiring, and you cannot really build sustainable long-term things if you don't have this, if you have these huge fluctuations from one lead list to another. And the other part to it, I would say that this is in predictable but not in high leverage bracket for a reason, because yes, you with a good enough offer you can get cold traffic to buy from cold calling and cold email, and yes, I would say they're still not dead, but they've gotten, like, the barrier of entry to my mind has gotten immensely higher in recent years, and you may have heard of all the Google and Outlook updates which made the game much harder. So because like imagine previously when I would be getting in the cold email, you could just set up like 20 domains, send a bunch of emails from each, and yes, sure, use different things here and there. But now for you to just be anywhere effective with it, you need to get into private infrastructures, managing like hundreds of different things. And I would say that there is just too much hassle for the output you're getting. And another one is you need more people to scale with these, because imagine as you have lower number of people saying yes, you need to be giving your offer and making your offer to a much larger volume of people. Because if, for example, if you have high intent buyers coming to you, you can get, let's say, 20 to 30% close rate. But a common thing for cold calling or cold email is you may be closing deals at, let's say, 5 to 10% rate. This means that you will be paying salaries to more closers and having more staff just to collect the same amount of money. And in different niches, you'd be spending a lot and a lot more on the staff comparing with you scaling through a bunch of other ways I will be breaking down now. By the way, if you would want to learn more about how to get high intent buyers come to you that close at 30% rate, you can check out saascam.com so that I can just teach you how to do that. The other one I want to break down here would be high leverage channels. So what's the difference between, like, why cold calling and cold email are not high leverage in my like in my chart? The reason behind it is because for cold calling and cold email, you have X inputs delivering you X amount of output. The high leverage system, which Naval Ravikant preaches for those of you who don't know, a famous author who has scaled a bunch of unicorns. Look, for you to be able to find this scaling velocity, you cannot really rely on things where 10 inputs get you 10 outputs. You need to be building formulas where you make 10 inputs but get 50 to 100 outputs, so that after you invest in a couple years in building this high leverage systems, you can get astronomically higher return on this. And this is something you get from referrals, content, PR, and paid ads, because you only need to create, basically you need to create a good campaign for ads once, and then it's going to be delivering you results for sometimes 3, 6, or in different cases for 12 months, time and time again. So the referrals, I would say that why they are high leverage is because, well, you create a great referral program once, and sure, you can, you do need to put in effort to make it work early on, but then 10 referral partners who are crazy fan of your work, they can bring you another 100,000 customers and so on. And you may have different opinions on Andrew Tate, but he showed this model pretty well, how you can have 1,000 diehard fans bring you 100,000 new buyers. Now, what is the issue with referrals? They are not predictable. And yes, sure, you can get to this virality sooner or later, but I don't consider building for virality a strategy. I think this is not a thing, because yes, sure, you may spend like couple months and it turns out that it works great for you, and then you become a billion-dollar company. But unfortunately, 95% of time, this is not the case. And for you to get this thing going, it requires like 3-5 years of effort, sometimes more. And still then you are not guaranteed to start getting like 3 referrals from every person that you are signing. And that's why I would say that I find there are more reasonable things to invest energy into here. Now, content and PR, I put them in the intersection between high leverage and infinitely scalable, and I'll explain why. Content, why it is high leverage. You make one post, it can get you, let's say, 10,000 impressions, and then 50 customers. You make another one which does well, you keep building your momentum so that amount of sales you're signing is not directly correlated to the number of inputs you're making, because every next post can be getting you more and more of them, while from cold calling and cold email, there is no such thing as from one cold call you can get 5 or 10 customers. In the meantime, from content and PR, you can. Content, what I don't like about it is you depend on platform algorithms, and some of you may tell me, Denis, but same thing goes for paid ads. Look, I would say that the game of paid ads to me is much more methodological and can be broken down into way more understandable pieces rather than the content game. And I'm saying this having 5k subs on YouTube, then 6k on Twitter, and then over the past few years I had different LinkedIn accounts, which combined I think I had over 20,000 people following me if I would sum up all the LinkedIn accounts I had. You cannot predict number of sales you get from posts. Yes, sure, the more and the better you post, the better results you get, but it's really, I don't want to say non-linear, it's just you can't really plan out your company growth like that. You cannot put in your Trello board, oh, let me make 10 more posts so that I can sign another 500k in business and make this bunch of new hires and then scale to this certain revenue goal. It doesn't work like that because it's unpredictable. Regarding predictability of paid ads, I would say that it is unmatched across all these platforms, because there is nothing that comes close to you seeing that, oh, it costs us that much to get in front of 1,000 people, it costs us that much to get a meeting. Every 5 meetings, we know we get at least one customer. You may have different fluctuations here and there, week by week, as Meta or Google, but I can speak on Meta in more detail, rotates audiences. But if you can make it work once, usually it's gonna get you all the way to your 8 figures. Why? Because there is an intersection with the next part, which is infinitely scalable. The issue which I really had with cold calling and cold email, as I mentioned, is once you're finished with your good lead list, period, like the next one doesn't perform, you have churn, much harder to make things work. Then why paid ads are infinitely scalable? Because Google and Meta combined have all the people in the world, period. Because Instagram plus Facebook is 4 billion people, Google is another few billion, if some of them don't use Facebook or Instagram. This is all you need to get all the way to your exit dream outcome, which you have, let's say, 5-10 years from now. I personally have met maybe over 100 people who have scaled to meet 7 figures just using paid ads, nothing else. Many of them have no personal brand, no other channel working, none of this. I understand might be a decent barrier to entry, because when you don't understand what you're doing, you can lose a lot of money pretty quickly, sure, but we can call it a skill issue. Infinitely scalability, another part to it, yes, content and PR, basically, the more you invest in them, the more the platform is going to be getting you in front of the right people. But now let me sum all of this up to explain why I believe paid ads are the thing, because for me, they check all three key boxes, that they are predictable, because once you know how much it costs you to get a meeting, you can get infinite number of meetings. That's it. Then high leverage, you build a system once, which then can get you pipeline for the next 3 to 5 years. Yes, don't get me wrong, there is such thing as the life of a creative, and you will need to be introducing new creatives and new stuff to keep the fire going. But once you understand the key message and the key offer that you should be delivering to your market, this is pretty much all you need to get to the first 3 million for sure. Maybe even some would say to 10 million, because once you understand who your ideal customer profile is, what are the exact words you need to be saying to them to get them on a meeting, and then what is the visual slash creative you need to be delivering for them to be interested. The last part of it would be just how you run the meeting for you to convert them into a sale. That's pretty much it. So high leverage, predictable, and infinitely scalable for the reasons I already explained, because it can reach billions of people. I think unlike PR, I have invested months, and for some of these channels, years, making them work. I would say by far paid ads, when it comes down to scaling B2B SaaS startups, to me is the option to go all in with. Appreciate you watching this video, and if you want some of my help for me to guide you how to make paid ads work for your startup, then go to saascam.com and check out more information there and book a call. And outside of that, I often post different breakdowns of my client case studies and what's happening behind the scenes inside my Telegram channel, the link to which I'll put somewhere nearby. Appreciate you watching this video, and talk soon.